On today's show, what can the Mavs learn from Game 1, and what adjustments do they need to make for Game 2? May the 4th be with you. On today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show like it needs to grow anymore is by commenting anything below. Comment anything below. Comment your favorite Star Wars character. May the 4th be with you. If we get 1 million May the 4th be with you in the comments, I'll be happy tomorrow. I'll be happy with that.
You'll do a whole pod with your Mandalorian helmet on.
With the voice changer. By the way, #1 show on the Locked On Podcast Network in the month of April, Locked On Mavs. Thank you to everyone making it happen. That's you making it happen. That's listening, that's commenting. All that stuff is helping us out. We really appreciate it. And joining me, couldn't make it happen without him. As always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com. The Sith Son, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
You know, just down in some applesauce.
Just as someone does right before a podcast.
Get some applesauce in
At
the
least
system.
It's not milk.
I could rock some milk right now if I had some milk, but man, I'm ready for game 2. Let's do this. Let's tip. It's tonight, 9:00. Still in Phoenix, game 2. I'm just ready. I'm ready to see what adjustments happen. I'm ready to see how the Mavs respond. Phoenix is so much different than Utah. We talked about it yesterday. Just
huge.
It's a night and day difference. But how will this Mavs team respond? I'm really, really curious about it.
It's a massive story. It's for the Mavericks. It's a big thing because going down 0-2 to this Suns team is huge. But if you could tie the series somehow, then all of a sudden you're in a pretty good position because you still have home court then. You have 3 games at home, hopefully, then to take back. And the Mavericks definitely played better at home. The role players played better at home and all that. So today we're going to get into what things they can learn from game 1 and then what adjustments they need to make in game 2. So let's just start with a couple of things from game 1. Isaac, what's one thing from game 1 the Mavs need to learn from? And I think there's one big one to start with.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be yours. You kind of set it up there. Like I got it. There's only one right answer.
There is one right answer. Do you have it?
I mean, they got to make more shots. They got to score more points.
That works. There it is. Perfect. End the show. Make more shots. Just make more shots. That's it. Call it a day.
I think a lot of, I tried to listen to a few things today, listen to McMahon on Zach Lowe. I haven't got a chance to listen to Russillo yet. I think from a Mavs angle, I think a lot of Mavs fans that are clinging for something really good right now or being positive, we're all just looking at that fourth quarter and saying, all right, what can we learn from the fourth? And because it is May the 4th. So how can... what can they learn from it? Is it sustainable? Like, can you do it for a longer stretch beyond just Suns are up 20. Let's just throw it out there in the fourth. And was it gimmicky or is it legit? And I want to lean towards it being legit. So I think that's the thing is like Dorian at the 5. How much do we see of it tonight?
Yeah, that's a big thing that they can learn from game 1 is that worked. It worked for a little bit before that. That fourth quarter was like the one thing that actually worked for the Mavericks as a team in game 1. And they can learn from that by saying, hey, we got to play a little bit faster, play a little bit more multiple where you got multiple different options and guys that can do a couple of things. Instead of just playing Dwight, it's pretty one-dimensional on offense. Maxey, at this point, pretty one-dimensional on offense. And so to have those 3 guards and the 2 wings in there, that really changes a lot of things for you. The big thing for me is the thing that everybody talked about at practice, that everybody talked about at practice, they talked about after the game, is the defense. The defense has to be better, and this Mavericks team can't come out and start slow and sloppy and start like they were a deer in the headlights or play scared. Maxey even said, he said these words that we maybe played a little nervous to start the game. This team did play nervous. Absolutely. That's what it looked like for sure. And if so a player on the team is saying, hey, maybe we played a little bit nervous, I'm going to take his word for it, because that's definitely what it looked like. That's the, like the words of the players and my eyes matching what they're seeing right now. Is when the Mavericks came out, they played scared. They were like, hey, what are we going to do against this Suns team? And then they had the 3 turnovers in the first 4 possessions. And then all of a sudden, this team was just playing from behind the whole game. Jason Kidd mentioned that at practice, that they can't play from behind the whole game. So you got to come out and be aggressive, and you have to be confident in your defense and confident in what you're doing. And one of the big ways that they do that and they change is communication. That was a huge point at practice between Maxey and Dorian. And then even Luka after the game was just talking about how the defense was the reason why the Mavericks lost this game. They need to be better communicating. And I think it was Luka that said, even the bench, we have to communicate better, because the bench has been a huge part of this defense. You always see Theo Pinson, way out over here, on the side, outside of the bench area. Sean Sweeney, who's, interviewing for jobs now, is going to be, he has to be, leave Charlotte, never come back. But he has to be, big in communicating, and all those guys are yelling at the bench, but it's down to the players that are on the floor to respond to that communication and to be better and to be in the right spots and all that kind of stuff. And you just saw guys just getting a half second late, and this Mavericks defense relies on guys being right in the spot that they need to be, or getting there right before the offense is comfortable enough to take a shot, right? Just get there right before, make the pass just a little bit worse, make the shot a little bit worse. And then all that stuff adds up, and eventually it becomes a good defense, and eventually it hurts the offense. The Suns didn't deal with any of that, right? They didn't deal with any, all their passes were clean. All their shots they had a lot of open shots and all that. The Mavericks have to ramp up their defense, and it starts with the communication.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things I was going to say. Shout out to Chris Paul for giving Theo Pinson some love post game. David Miniman.
There's some good players on this team. Luka, Brunson, Pinson. Whoa,
Reggie.
more than a hype man.
Don't ever disrespect Theo Pinson again, Dave.
No.
But no, they looked a little shell shocked a little bit at the beginning.
For sure.
We just came off of watching March Madness, and one of the things I actually enjoy it in the Final Four and a national championship game of college basketball, seeing these are just kids out there. They're so nervous, and it's like, dude, I don't blame them. I would be so amped too. Everything. And that's the vibe I got of that first quarter from the Mavs, of they were just, it's a huge stage, and you are the underdog. I know it's hard for Mavs fans to listen to us and be like, why are you all not, saying Suns and Mavs and 4, and all that. It's there's a reason why, even Lowe and McMahon today, and they were joking about all 20 ESPN people picking the Suns in the series. That's realistic. It's okay. We can still be diehard Mavs fans and understand why people pick the 64 win best team in the league, Phoenix Suns, to win this series. But the Mavs, let them gain composure, let them chill out. I think we'll see a different, start to this game. And yeah, just let's give it a shot. Let's understand that Phoenix is a really dang good team.
So that's the big thing, right? Is that
and this was the point. Sorry, this was the point I was going to make a while ago, because you started to make it, and I wanted to build on that, because I made this note today. I went back and watched a little bit more of the fourth quarter again today, but I wrote this down. I said the Mavs didn't force them to do anything different than what they want.
No,
across the board, from rotations, you joked about on yesterday's pod that it was semi disrespectful that they're out there, putting Booker and Chris Paul and these guys just on the bench, because
Joe McGee played 14 minutes.
Yeah, and it was Monty's you know what? I don't have to really split their minutes against this Dallas team.
Chris Paul played 29 minutes.
So it's they didn't force them. You look across the board, look at their stats. We went over what Phoenix likes to do game plan wise and all this stuff in the regular season. You look at it from the 3-pointers, they're bottom of the league in shooting 3-pointers. And we were talking about going into the series, will Dallas try to force them to take more threes? Well, guess what they didn't do? They didn't even attempt 33s. And they're at the bottom of the league. They typically attempt 32 a game. They attempted 28. They took a lot of 2s. That's what they love to do. So it's everything they wanted and everything that they're good at, they got it. And Dallas never made them feel uncomfortable to where they had to change up things. And that's what has to change.
That's what has to change. That's a couple of things we learned about game one. Now let's focus our attention on game two. What adjustments do the Mavericks need to make? What things are we expecting to see in game two? Talk about all that and more coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about a daily fantasy app that makes it easier for you. You don't have to figure out, okay, who's playing this and blah, 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 what's going on. It's Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections. You can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. You can go to prizepicks.com right now. You sign into your account, and you can see the games that are in front of you. They have NBA. They have all kinds of different other sports. They have esports on there too. Right now, they have... let's see, that game's already happening. Let's go. They have actually live stuff right now. They have a game that's happening right now. They have Warriors. They have Warriors and Grizzlies right now. But if you want to do another game, let's say they have James Harden and Jimmy Butler. Let me just pick those two guys. James Harden, 22.5 points. I can pick the under on that. 21.5 points for Jimmy Butler. I can pick the over on that. All of a sudden, I put it together. I can pick different multipliers and all that, and I can win some money on Prize Picks. So go check it out. It's Prize Picks, the award-winning app, prizepicks.com. Download it. Try it today. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from local experts and NFL, NHL, MLB, all that. It's Locked On
WNBA.
Now. They don't have that. We do have a Locked On Women's Basketball show that is powered by The Next Hoops, which I am very proud of. That has an incredible lineup with Howard Medgill and all them.
Howard's an OG.
The Wings season starting up soon. All right, Isaac, let's get into game two. What's one thing you're expecting to see in game two that maybe is different from game one?
Post up Chris Small more. You know, I just because I started to talk about small ball, I think we will see. That's the biggest thing is small ball. How much will we see of Dorian at the 5 versus, you know, how many minutes has Dwight played? Does he spot start? I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about that, but just trying to stay away from the obvious. Let's take advantage of Chris Paul on Luka more. Try to hunt that out more. Try to get that mismatch and then immediately take it to the block. He did that in the second half. In the fourth quarter a little bit more. Just try to attack, you know, and Chris Paul's a good defender at his size, but it's just Luka's got to take advantage of that.
They have to make Chris Paul work. I think the Mavericks tried to do that a little bit when you saw Dorian picking him up kind of 3/4 court or full court. You saw Bullock picking him up 3/4 court. And it's not like they expect Chris Paul to turn the ball over in the backcourt. That's not what they're trying to do. They're not playing super, far up on him. They're just trying to make him work, make him tired, make him get to the end of the game. And he doesn't have enough legs to go 13 of 13.
That wears on your legs. Yes. If you're listening to saying, well, what does it do? It wears on your legs if you're constantly being picked up full court.
Teams do it to Luka all the time. They try to make him work, pick him up full court and all that. And so that's why they've had Brunson or Dinwiddie bring the ball up. And yeah, maybe the Suns decide to do that and it changes it. But the point is that the Mavs have to make Chris Paul work. And so to Isaac's point, posting up Chris Paul with Luka especially. And I think honestly Brunson too. Brunson should get in on that action too. He should be posting up Chris Paul. If Chris Paul is one-on-one against you, Brunson, post up. You're stockier than him. Like I think he can push him a little bit. Maybe not all the way to the spot that he wants, but just make him work. Get to a point, because the difference between him and Campaign is big. I know that Campaign's a lot better than we thought that he was two or so years ago. He's gotten a lot better, but that difference between him and Campaign is pretty big. And so make Chris Paul work. The other thing, I think they need to make Mikal Bridges work a little bit more. He had 5 fouls in the game. I think they can put him in situations, especially against Luka, where he's forcing to foul. And I think they can get him into more foul trouble even.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to attack Mikal, but...
No, just put him in situations.
No, I see what you're... Yeah, I mean, even like Luka had good numbers against Mikal if you want to do like individual breakdown stuff. I think he had like 14 points when Mikal was like the primary defender on him.
Hold on, he didn't shut him down? Mikal wasn't the complete answer for Luka?
Well, it's because Torrey Craig they're saving Torrey Craig for the rest of the series.
Do you think that NBA assistant coach or the scout is sitting at home going like,
put Torrey in.
Put Torrey. Play Torrey more. He only played 3 minutes.
Gosh, now I don't know. Okay, let me ask you this. Because I think this is a thing just to keep in mind as as a Mavs fan. How many players would you take? How many players on the Suns would you say is the second best player on the Mavs?
I was thinking about this in the game. I was thinking about this as the game was going on last night, because if you're just looking at the way that the game played out last night, it's Luka 1, and then like a combination of
four Suns.
Booker, Paul, Ayton, probably Bridges in there for sure. But the problem is that doesn't have to be the case. Brunson was so good in round one that he can force himself into that conversation. But after game one, and if you just looked at the regular season in game one, that's not a conversation. It's Luka and then 4 Suns. But Brunson has, for the Mavs to win this series, Brunson has to be in there. He has to be one of those next 4 guys.
And I made that as a note because I think that's another way to look at this series of, oh, well, they have 4 other dudes that would be the second best. And yes. And we love Jalen Brunson, but those 4 guys, even Bridges is better than Jalen Brunson right now. So it's just, they're a 64 win team.
Well, and they're all higher draft picks. They're talented guys that have been around for a little while now and are really good and skilled in the areas that they are in. And they're more talented, and then they've been developed really well. Those 3 guys, especially that have been with the Suns for the longest time. But Jalen Brunson can get himself in there, right? He can become one of those next guys where you go, oh, would I rather have Bridges or Brunson? Would I rather have Ayton or Brunson, right? Seems like a crazy conversation because of the amount of money Ayton may be getting in the offseason, but looking the way that Brunson played in the first round, why is that not possible for him? So I think it's on Brunson to become part of that conversation, and that's an adjustment the Mavericks can make. But what's the thing that Brunson needs to change to be able to get himself into that conversation? Because we didn't really see a very aggressive Brunson until later. He seemed to be a little shell-shocked, which is kind of wild because he's been in such big games in his career.
Well, it's just, you hate to do this was the reason, but the foul trouble stuff just hurt him so much.
I thought you were gonna do the media day thing.
Oh, no. So we talked to JB.
Stop. We're done.
This pod is brought to you by Top Shot. Get a DSJ layup. But no,
Should they draft Brunson because they have DSJ?
Oh god. The fouls just threw him all off. He got two fouls early, and then obviously you're watching how aggressive you are both on offense and defense, and then it's just you pick up the third, and then your whole rotation thrown off. You play 11 minutes. Well, now you have to try to find your groove again in the second half. So it just throws so much off, and so I kind of want to I want to give him a pass for this game because of the fouls, and it's not like he's Jaren Jackson Jr. out there to where he's fouling every other minute. So he's not that type of guy. So let's see how it plays out for him in game 2.
Something notable for Brunson is he only took 1 3, and I think it was a heave. I don't even think it was an actual 3, and he only took 1 free throw, which was from the and 1 that he got. He's not getting anything that's not made himself, which is notable. It's what the Suns defense is dictating.
And I want to be careful of saying this because once again, the Suns are not Utah, but look at that first game against Utah. They lose, it's what is Brunson? How's he going to, and Brunson goes out and scores 41 that next game. It's obviously without Luka and all of that. Once again, this is Phoenix. It's not Utah. You can't bank on the same thing, but let's give it a chance. Let's see how he plays in game 2 there. Can we talk about the small ball thing just for a second again? So I went back and
I don't know why I shook my head. Yes, let's do it.
Yes. No, we can't.
Audio podcast.
I went back. So, the small ball thing against Ayton there in the fourth, Ayton was a -7 in the fourth quarter. He didn't score in the fourth quarter. He played about 7 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith, primary defender on him. Dorian's probably the best post defender on the Mavs. Maybe Maxey. But anyway, I went back and I looked at the playoff series last year for Phoenix. So, they play the Clippers, right? And this Clippers team that just went small just to, and beat Utah, similar to Dallas by going small, getting Rudy Gobert out on the perimeter, all this stuff. So then they play Phoenix. And I look at this game 5. So they win by 14. This is the Clippers last year in the playoff. They win by 14 points against the Suns. And by going small. So I look at the box score, and because I didn't have time to go rewatch the game, even though I wanted to, they started Paul George, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, Pat Beverly, and Terrence Mann. Okay. This is hello. This is the 2022, Mavs here. And in this game, DeAndre Ayton, 10 points, 11 rebounds. He was a minus 22 in the game. And, obviously the Clippers won this game by 14 points. That was one of the discussions back then that we kind of forget a little bit is, hey, that series went 6 games. They went small. Ayton, man, how's he going to put like going against a small ball and all that? Is there something, I guess this is just a bigger thing, and I'm not expecting you to have an answer to this or anything. Is there something that the Mavs can look at from that Clippers series and say, hey, they at least won a couple of games? Like Paul George had 41 in that game. A couple other guys had 20. You obviously need your guys to step up, but they did that really consistently. Like Batum and Luke Kennard was their guys off the bench. Boogie played a little bit, but they pretty much just embraced small ball the entire time against them in that game 5. Can Dallas do that from like, we both agree that Dallas probably doesn't do it from the opening tip, right? I mean, they could, that'd be wild.
They're not going to do that.
But I think there's at least some type of game plan there that you could look at and say, can we use bits and pieces of that? Is there shades of that we could use in this series?
I'm also looking at like the shots that Ayton got, right? And I think there's one adjustment the Mavericks can make against DeAndre Ayton that I think could help them in this area. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the things that we expect. And I kind of want to talk about some wild adjustment. Like what's some off the wall thing that Jason Kidd may try to do if it does get down really bad in the next game. So we'll talk about some wild adjustments we can think about coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. It's the best place to check out the odds, the lines, the stats, the money line, the spread, everything for sports. You can check out NBA draft stuff. They have European basketball. They have all kinds of different things. They have Mavericks Suns, the series odds right now. Suns minus 600 favorite now. It's starting to rise. It's starting to climb. It was like 280. It was like minus 280 before the series started. Now it's minus 600. Mavs are plus 460. So if you're still feeling good about the Mavs, if you felt encouraged after that first game somehow, put down $100. You'll win 460 on that and get your $100 back. So go check that out. BetOnline. Use the promo code. Actually, there's no promo code, but just go check out. There used to be like 2 years ago. Go check out BetOnline. See everything that's available. It's BetOnline, where the game starts.
Use the promo code Nick20.
All right, Isaac. Let's use the promo code Isaac Harris. What you got for me to talk about DeAndre Ayton? The thing that I think can help the Mavericks is that Ayton only took like 2 or 3 shots outside of the paint. You got to force him to stay out of the paint, right? It's sort of this weird act that you have to do. But there's times when we've seen players in the past. It's like Giannis or some of these players. You're like you have to stop them from getting position. You have to be aware of where they are at all times, right? I think KG was kind of like this. You just have to be aware of where he is at all times on the court. And I think the Mavericks have to be aware of that with Ayton a little bit because they're so undersized against him. If the Mavericks had, a Gobert or somebody like that, or Miles Turner or somebody like that, they wouldn't have to do this. But because they can't allow Ayton to get good position. And so to allow him to get good position, I saw this on so many plays in game 1 where the Mavericks are paying attention to Booker and Chris Paul. They're like looking, they're in their stance, they're down, they're looking, and Ayton just like slips in, and all of a sudden he's like deep in the paint. And then he just gets quick position and boom, he's like right there under the basket. Yeah. Like they can't do that. They have to make sure and keep him out of that restricted area, keep him out of the paint area, the 5 to 7 feet away from the basket and push him out a little bit more. I'm okay if he takes 20 of those turnaround, like little fadeaway jumpers that he took in game 1. Like he took a couple of those and he made a couple of them, but I'm okay if he takes that many shots. Like those are the shots the Mavericks should try to force him to take. And I thought Dwight did a decent job when he was able to push him out of the paint, but when he's in the paint, it's like Dwight wasn't there. It's like he didn't even matter.
Yeah, he's so much different than Rudy that he has. It's not just touch, but he has like different moves, right? He's got the hook. Hold on. Can we rewind that? Is there phrasing?
He has moves.
Okay, yeah.
You're like he has different moves. No, he has moves.
He has a jump shot, and
although you and I, what was it before game? What game were we sitting in the press box before? We saw Rudy taking corner threes.
Yeah, we did.
He's like out there taking corner threes and taking mid-range shots. I'm like, why is my guy practicing shots? He's not gonna.
Bro, just practice a hook shot.
A drop step, like just do something.
So from a Mavs angle, they got to move the ball more. Also, they only had 16 assists in this game. They're already at the bottom of the league as far as in the regular season. They're 25th in the league by averaging 23 assists a game. So you're already at the bottom of the league in the regular season by averaging 23 assists a game, and you had 16 in this game. They got to get it moving. That's what makes this Mavs team, when Luka's out there and it's whipping around, the ball's moving. They have to. It's harder because Phoenix plays such good defense.
They don't have the seams for it.
I know. And it's like, even, there's that play there. I think it was in the first quarter that Dorian pump fakes in the corner. He drives baseline and he does that wraparound pass to the other corner. Well, Chris Paul just catches it like it was a pass to him.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to go to Reggie. And it's stuff like that they're game planning for this. They're reading it, and they got to get the ball moving a little bit more. And I also want to say something about, Dinwiddie in this. I think the fact that there's only a 1 point per game difference between Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, I think that tells you something. Like they have to have more. Like, they got Spencer Dinwiddie, obviously, you get Bertans, Dinwiddie in that trade. It's like, we need you to be the third creator, the third scorer on this team. And I get Dorian gets the open threes. He plays with Luka a lot and all that stuff. I get all of that, but they need more than 13 points a game in this playoffs from Spencer Dinwiddie. So we're still kind of waiting a little bit. They just need a little bit more from him. Point blank.
Yeah, he had 4 games in the first round that were like 17 to 20 something points. That's what they need from him in these games. They need 4 games of that. And so they didn't get one in game 1. Hopefully they get one in this, but it's hard when Luka has the ball the whole time because the rest of the team is kind of scared to, they're playing scared, and Luka's not going to play scared against anybody. And so he's handling the ball the whole time. He's taking over. It's nice to say, well, they got to get it to Brunson and get him more shots, and Dinwiddie, and he's got to get going more. And those guys got to step up. Those guys got to step up and take command of it and almost like take control at times. And you sort of want to say, well, why would you want them to take the ball out of Luka's hands? I don't know why anyone would want that, but that's what they have to do to get going at times, right? They have to get their rhythm. They have to get their shots going. And if Luka's going to play 44 minutes, they'll have to do it with Luka on the floor. And it can't just be Luka because he needs a couple other guys to step up. And so that's what, I think that's more on Brunson than Dinwiddie. But Dinwiddie, when it's just him and Brunson out there, he has to take the looks that are available to him and see, and go to the rim against McGee. JaVale McGee's not just going to block everything. He's going to foul you. He's going to send you to the line. Like, he's not a perfect rim protector. So there's opportunities there for Dinwiddie to take, and he's got to take them.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the whole thing with Luka. It's like Luka shot 50% from the field, and the other guys, or Dinwiddie and Brunson combined for what, 9 for 24, 37%, from the field. It's like, okay, well, it's that whole thing of like, you need them to have the ball to get more confidence, score. But if you're Luka and you're like, I'm shooting 50% in the field,
right. Like, I'm not taking less than 30 shots.
Yeah. So it's hard from our seat, from my, office chair here in my little house to be like, oh, you got to do this. Should Josh Green play in the series? Who deserves more minutes, Josh Green or Dwight Powell?
Ooh, I think Josh Green's not ready for this moment in so many ways. And maybe it's because he played off of the rest of the Mavs, but I don't know. He didn't seem ready for the Jazz series, and so I'm not sure he's ready for this series. He's just going to be in there to spell Bullock and Finney-Smith. And he played more because Bullock was in foul trouble. That's definitely something we have to acknowledge. But, yeah, I don't know. I hope he has one of those games like he had in the first round series, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I tried to write out the ideal rotation now, and I'm like, you kind of get a little sad of like, okay, well, who has to play? Like that's
it's not who can, it's who has to.
Yeah. So I think if it was up to me, I think I would bench Dwight and I would start Maxey, and it would be Maxey, Dorian, Reggie, Brunson, Luka. And then obviously Dinwiddie off the bench. And then you're playing with fire a little bit of what type of minutes can you get from Josh? But I'll say it again, give Frank a little bit more run. Like at least try. Like at least try to give him some minutes out there.
They played him 2 minutes in game 1.
I know it's just 2 minutes, but at least just see what it looks like. Maybe he's a little bit more confident than Josh. Maybe he hits a 3 or something. And you're like, all right, now that's another guy off the bench we can at least give 10 minutes to or something. At least try it.
What's a wild adjustment you're thinking about in this? Because I thought throwing out Frank Ntilikina in there, I thought was just a little bit of a curveball. And at one point they had Frank and Josh out there, and I was like, what is happening? How is this possible? And it kind of works. Josh was a plus 11 in his minutes, and Frank was out there part of the time, so it sort of worked for the Mavericks. But is it more Frank Ntilikina? Is it okay? Maybe this is a Davis Bertans situation where we just try to get him like 5 or 6 3-point attempts, something like that. Is it a Boban? Is it Marquise
It's not
Chris?
Boban. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do the tweets or the DMs. It's like, why are we not putting a Boban? Like, guys, Chris Paul and Devin Booker would put him in a pick and roll so fast and just eat.
Yes.
I think the wildest adjustment that honestly wouldn't be like totally all against is Dwight's out of the series. You embrace small ball from the tip and you shoot 53s. And it's like
ratchet it up.
Bertans is coming off the bench and actually like part of the bench rotation. I get it. You're going to suck on defense. And
they threw him in pick and rolls too.
They throw him in pick and rolls, but your whole thing is we'll just try to outscore you. And you just do small ball and you just commit to shooting 1,000,000 3-pointers.
It's also, and it's honestly like committing to defense a little bit more too, because Dwight's getting beat defensively. So it's like we're committing to this, smaller, wingier version of defense and hoping that we outscore you, which is honestly the whole point of basketball. But
can we laugh for a second and say the Mavs only attempted 39 threes? So in game 1
went against our rule.
That's the reason. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
They had taken one more.
But seriously, take more threes. I mean, that I'm not saying that's the game plan or the recipe for every single team out there, but we're like, I'm not just hand picking this because, basketball 3 is more than 2. I'm picking this because, we've been on this because of the makeup of this team, that for you to score enough points and have that offense, like you gotta attempt a lot of 3-pointers, and there should not. Yeah. In my opinion, there shouldn't be a game this series they don't attempt, more than 40. And once again, they could attempt 44 tonight and lose by 12. And I'm not saying it's the end all tell all for this series, but they gotta shoot more.
The Mavs also got 16 corner threes against the Suns, which is not normal. The Suns don't allow corner threes. They got 16 attempts. They made 9 of those 16 attempts, which is really good. That's a really good percentage on those threes. And so that's definitely something that you want to watch out for and focus on, is how can you create more of those shots? How can you create more of those attempts? Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I've seen some people throw out the rebounding battle. I'm not as bullish about it in this series than I was Utah. That Dallas lost 36-51. It's hard. The
Suns don't out rebound anybody.
well, my whole thing is like it's hard to get rebounds when the team's shooting 60%. So you got to miss to get a rebound.
Yeah.
And once again, we covered this yesterday, and it's not to be the Debbie Downer here, but somebody told me this today in person. They say there's no way Phoenix shoots 50% again, right? I'm like, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they've shot above 50% in every single playoff game they've played this year. And they were number 1 in the league in field goal percentage at 48% a game. So they shoot the ball at a really high clip. I'm not looking, obviously 60 is different than 50, but they ended the game at 50%. I'm not going into each game saying, you know what they're not going to do? They're not going to shoot at 50% from the field. I'm almost like banking on that they will, because they're a really good team.
A wild adjustment the Mavericks can make, I think, is all of a sudden Frank Ntilikina gets all of the Davis Bertans, Josh Green minutes. And they try that. They throw him out there, say, hey, we need defense. We're going to throw you out there for your length and your defense like that. We play you those minutes. Other than that, like a wild adjustment would be a Marquise Chris appearance. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I got one for you. Dinwiddie for Bullock.
In the starting lineup?
And I'm just trying to think of something I'm not saying that's like the answer to anything. I'm just saying I could, if they go down 0-2 and they go, they come to Dallas for game 3, and it's like, they're just wanting to switch something up. Dinwiddie for Bullock.
It'd be Dinwiddie for Powell, right? And just do the small ball.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of something that could move some type of need. Like Frank, I'm all about Frank playing more. I don't know if Frank getting 12 minutes in the game is putting them over the top, but we'll see. I'm excited for it. Game 2.
That it's one thing that we've learned. I mean, playing against this Suns team and kind of the Jazz too. You're like, the Mavericks are a couple rotation players short of a real playoff team. They are, and it's true. And we knew that going into this, and we know that it's true. We like the guys. We like Davis and Josh and Frank and all them and Sterling and all them, but and Trey Burke, but that they're not perfect playoff players. And the Mavericks need they need a couple more of those.
Yeah, because you look at Phoenix as top four, they're big four there, and then even after that, Jay Crowder and Cam Johnson, those are two good, solid role players. Like where are they? I mean, they're probably on that same level as Dorian and Maxey and those guys. And it's like that's their fifth and sixth player. Like Dorian's are three right now. Him or Dinwiddie, I guess.
Right.
Our third best player. So that's just where good teams and we don't have to dissect the Suns roster, but.
That's where we are. That's what's going on. We'll be back with a post-game episode. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We'll be back with a post-game episode with you tomorrow. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA. I'm on Thursdays. It's less than 30 minutes. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom. May the 4th be with you.